Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the greeting for the week of April the 27th. I am your host, Mr. Johnson. My co-host, Boop Boop Kajoop, has the day off today. We got a great show lined up for you. We have a special guest, Dr. Brett Barro, in to answer your questions about COVID-19. And as always, we're answering your questions about what is going on in the world, in school, and others, as well as what are you looking most forward to once this is all over? Let's get started. So in last week's greeting, I asked, what are you looking most forward to once social distancing measures are relaxed? Heard from all of you, and basically categorize your answers into three categories. The first being food and restaurants, second being sports, and third, the most popular answer I got from you was seeing your friends. So I'm going to read through a couple of these answers. So this person says, I'm looking forward to going back to school to see my friends, to have a birthday party and go shopping. I think we can all relate to at least one of those. I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends, to talk about what we did during the self-isolation period with my friends, to do activities outside and not just around my home. I would like to see all my friends because I miss them, and doing a video call with them is kind of awkward. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'm going to have my friends over for a birthday party. And finally, simply hanging out with friends. So a lot of you are looking forward to that. In terms of sports, one person is looking forward to doing Granby's Ninja Parkour and playing hockey. One person simply wrote sports. I wish I could play football. And I'm looking forward to playing team sports. And that's a good point, the difference between sports and team sports. So we'll see what the news is. We're supposed to get some news this week on social distancing measures from the government. And we'll see if things are changing, if there's going to be new dates set for team, individual sports, and opening things up like restaurants. All right, I'm at the Ring of Knowledge wall. And we had a question last week that involved fractions and different colors. So if we could put that up on the screen. All right, so let's take a look at the answers for this week. So we saw that the red triangle represented 2/16 of the whole. The yellow triangle represented 5/16. The polka dot blue represented 2/16. And the striped blue represented 7/16. We had a wide variety of winners for last week's greeting, and here they are. Congratulations to all of you. All right, this week's Ring of Knowledge question is called Playground for Activity Day. So here you have a space that the principal has divided up. The playground is 1 square kilometer. The principal has decided to divide the playground into 7 sections, each representing a fraction of the whole playground, as shown below. In each section, there will be an activity run by a different teacher. When Section 1 and Section 2 are combined, what fraction of the square kilometer playground do they represent? The art teacher was assigned to Section 2. He then gave half of Section 2 to the music teacher. What fraction of the whole playground did the art teacher give to the music teacher? And the last question is comparing Section 7. So express Section 7 as a fraction of the square kilometer, so as the whole. All right, it's question period time where Mr. Johnson is answering your questions. We're going to speak to our special guest in a few moments that will be answering your questions on COVID-19. But for now, these are your classic school-related, personal-related, activity-related questions. So let's take a few and then we'll talk to our special guest. What is your favorite thing to do during social distancing? My favorite thing to do of all things during social distancing is cook. And in next week's episode, I will feature some cooking. It was one of the things that you had asked to see on the greeting. So next week we will have some of Mr. Johnson's favorite thing to do during social distancing, cooking. Next question. What are we going to do with our Chromebook if we can't go back to school? Now, I have no idea. But if we look at the news on Monday, April the 27th, there should be some information about going back to school. So if you're watching this episode after April 27th, maybe by now you already know the answer to that question. Stay tuned. Let's take one more. If we go back to school, will we have tests that will count on our report card? The answer to that question is no. The government has said that they will not make it mandatory for you to go back to school. So therefore, there will be no tests that will count on your report card as of now. Thanks for your questions. Now, to our guest, Brett Barro. So I'm here with Dr. Barro, longtime friend, and he is based right now out of Los Angeles, California. Good afternoon, Brett.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's a pleasure. Welcome to the greeting. We're happy to have you. Who's your friend there?
I have Charlie with me.
Oh, she's a good girl.
My partner in crime today. Say hi, Char. She wants the bacon that's being held.
Thanks for joining us. So we have a couple questions for you today from 6J students on the coronavirus and what's going on right now. The first question is, can mosquitoes carry COVID-19? Do you know the cause of COVID-19?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And COVID-19 is the disease that's caused by the virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And a lot of viruses are transmitted by mosquitoes, but I don't think this virus is. They believe that it was started at a market in China. They think that the virus was initially found in things like anteaters, and then they were transmitted to people. Now the virus is transmitted pretty much exclusively from person to person by droplets, like when you cough or sneeze.
Right. And that's why they say with the 2-meter rule, if these droplets fly, they won't fly 2 meters. You should be okay if you stay 2 meters apart.
Exactly. Especially if you're outside.
Okay.
So the social distancing is really important because you just want to be away from those droplets.
Thanks. Next question. If you have MS, so multiple sclerosis, and take medication that turns off your immune system, are you more at risk?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I don't know if I have a perfect answer for it, but generally speaking, yes, when you are on those immunosuppressant medications or medications that kind of dampen your immune system, you are at higher risk for infections. Interestingly, there is a little bit of research right now that looks at steroids, which are one of the medications that can be used in MS for treatment. Certainly not anything that's concrete evidence yet, but they are looking at that as a potential treatment. But what I would say is that yes, those medications likely do put you at higher risk of both contracting the virus and the disease, as well as having complications from the virus.
Okay. Third question. Are we working on getting a cure? If kids our age get the virus, what kind of medication should we take?
Yeah, so another really good question. You got some intelligent 6th graders over there, Matt. You must be doing a pretty good job. There is no cure currently. Our best chance at a cure is going to be a vaccine. That will take some time, but hopefully we'll have that at some point here, and that will really prevent the transmission of the virus if you're vaccinated against it, or if you do get it, hopefully you don't get the disease quite as bad. There's a lot of doctors around the world, a lot of scientists that are looking at trying different medications to fight or combat this disease, but nothing at this point has really panned out as being that effective. So it's just supportive care, providing oxygen in the hospital if you get really sick.
Okay. Just to follow up, what's the difference between a vaccine and a cure?
So the vaccine makes, to say it simply, the vaccine kind of primes your body to be able to fight or prevent the virus from taking over your cells. But it doesn't really cure necessarily the disease, because you can still sometimes get the virus, even though you are vaccinated against it. They're not always perfect.
Right.
So to say it's a cure in the sense that it will eliminate it entirely, that's not necessarily true, but the vaccine is definitely your best chance at not getting the disease, or if you do get it, having a not so severe response to it.
Thanks. Is the United States taking good precautions against the coronavirus? And when we wash our hands, does it take away all of the bacteria?
Yeah, so washing your hands is probably one of the best precautions that you can take against in fighting this disease. So we are trying to wash our hands frequently, especially at work in the hospital. Many times a day, whether it's with soap and water or with alcohol sanitizer. So if you are washing your hands, make sure to use soap and run your hands under the water for 30 to 60 seconds, get a lot of suds on there, and wash them very thoroughly, the back of your hands, both sides, thumbs, fingernails if you can. Other precautions, one we already touched on, is the social distancing. So we are doing that down here. Most of our businesses are closed. I think that's probably the same back where you are. Is that true, Matt? Yeah. So that's really important to help prevent the spread of the disease, as you know. And then the question, it's a really good question about the bacteria. If when washing your hands, it gets rid of all of the bacteria. A lot of the times, hand sanitizers will say 99.99%.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So while they do a really, really, really good job, I don't think you can ever, with 100% certainty, get rid of every germ. This disease is a virus. It's not a bacteria. Just as a logistics terminology point, but washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, social distancing, those are really important precautions that we should all be taking.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to speak on behalf of my class and thank you for your time. Thank you for your work in helping people and getting through this. And we're staying positive. And I want to thank you again for taking the time for this interview.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, man. This was a pleasure. Hope you guys stay safe. I want you to know, you got a lot of great people in your community that are, gonna take care of you and your families, and we're all in this together. Family, friends, neighbors, everyone around the world is doing their best to combat this, and hopefully we'll come through it soon.
So that's it for this week's episode of The Greeting. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing many of you on Tuesday at 11 o'clock on Google Meet. Make sure you check your Gmail for the invitation. That's Thursday and Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Hope to see y'all there. Stay safe, stay well. Talk to you soon.